Welcome to Chefs in the City. I'm Ann Fisher, along with my co-hosts, Steve Stover and Rich Terapak. Behind every great cook, there's some kind of teacher, maybe a family member, a neighbor, maybe a professional culinary school, maybe that perfect cookbook, maybe a one-off cooking class, and then there's travel, perhaps the greatest teacher of all. Columbus native Tricia Wheeler has embraced pretty much all of the above.
All of them.
Yeah. After her first business was acquired in 2007, she attended the French Culinary Institute in New York City, graduating first in her class. When she returned to Central Ohio, she hit the ground running, but not to find a job in the traditional restaurant industry. First, she founded Edible Columbus, a magazine devoted to the importance of fresh, locally grown foods from farm to table. The magazine was acquired in 2018. And then she opened her Clintonville cooking school, the Seasoned Farmhouse, dedicated to aspiring cooks and gardeners. The school now offers 200 new classes each year, and its French cooking series has graduated some 200 home chefs. And Tricia Wheeler takes her lessons on the road, too, traveling the world with small groups to share her insights and inspirations. Tricia Wheeler, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
It's great to have you. When did you know that you would take these sorts of paths in your culinary education?
You know, I had always wanted to go to culinary school. My parents had said it was a hobby. And so I had a different degree, a different business. And when my first business was acquired, my husband looked at me. He goes, "What do you want to do?" I go, "The only thing I've ever wanted to do is go to culinary school. I'm not sure what I'll do with it, but I would really love to go." And I'd had my eye on the French Culinary Institute, and my husband was super supportive. He goes, "Fly up there, see if it's the right place, and you got to do it." So that was the first step, was really getting the foundation and studying at the highest level I could at that stage of my life and immersing myself in something I always wanted to do.
What's it like getting into the French Culinary School?
Well, they'll take you, but they'll ask you to leave if you can't cut it. So.
If you can't drop an onion.
They'll take anybody at first. Yeah.
They'll take anybody at first. And we had a couple asked to leave. And so, it was such a dynamic place. What I always envisioned culinary school being like competitive, challenging, hard, highest of standards, the best French chefs, Jacques Pepin was a dean, Andres Faulkner. These French gentlemen were like the backbone of the school, with a wonderful woman leading it, Dorothy Hamilton. And they just had such a dynamic formula. They would bring chefs from around the world, all the names we know, into their culinary theater to teach us after our studies. And we had field trips on the weekends, and we had all the practical work in the classrooms. So it was just the best place to be. And I kept thinking, if I could bottle some of this energy and bring it back to my hometown, that's what I want to do.
So that's what you decided, not to go work in a restaurant.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, my daughter was 2 when I went. She was there. My mom, everybody should take their mom to culinary school. My mom made me look so good when I was at school. She would print these note cards I had to bring down every day. I had to come dressed in my perfect, nothing out of place with my uniform. And you had to have your day's lessons on note cards. My mom would stay up and type them when I went to bed and put all the accents and color code the French words. And my chef halfway through pulled them out of my pocket and said, this woman's here with a daughter. She is the hardest working person in this class. She comes every day so prepared. And they never had the heart to say, "It's my mom."
Thanks, Mom.
So I just said,
and a mom.
And a mom. I have a team behind me
Oh,
making me look good there.
And this was in New York, right?
In New York,
Yeah.
in Soho, yes. And so it was in 2009 was the year I spent there.
Yeah. And they've changed the name recently, haven't they?
They did. They changed it to the International Culinary School. And then we had a tragedy. Our founder had been, she passed away in a car crash.
Oh, my.
And that kind of changed the trajectory of our school. And it ended up merging with ICE in New York after that sad occurrence.
So so what is it about the teaching part of it that appeals to you?
I loved it. it was being in class and learning techniques and thinking cooking is techniques. It's if all of us are given asparagus and one of us knows the best way to get them to have the most flavor, that asparagus is going to taste the best. And I just was having these, thoughts like I want to teach this to my friends who all struggled, who all didn't enjoy being in the kitchen. And I kept thinking I can make this easier for them. And that's what really led me to think I want to teach while I was there.
That's great. It is technique and it's chemistry. You got to put the salt in the water if you want the asparagus to be green.
That's so right. So true.
Yeah.
Follow directions. Travel's always been important to you. How did the food travel get off the ground? Tell us about that whole part of your business now.
So I was an avid traveler just from a young age, and living in Europe. Instead of starting college, my parents had to call me and say, come home and go to college, because I was still in Europe. And so I started late, and I just always had this deep appreciation for other cultures and learning through food and assimilating a culture through its food. And so when I would come back from my travels, I would always put a class on at the farmhouse, and it would be back from Belgium. And I would recreate my favorite meal and bring back ingredients, bring back travel tips, show a slideshow. And right before COVID, people started to say, bring us with you. And so that was the beginning. And I thought I remember going home that night and going, I can bring you with me. And it has just become, it's kind of taken on a life of its own, but it's just become so fun because I think I've kind of got my little way I do it, how I used to do it for my family. Now I'm doing it for our guests. But I try to give people an experience that's you won't find on Instagram. You won't find, it's not what you're expecting. It's trying to dig a little deeper, get into the kitchens, get behind the scenes, and learn a culture, taste a culture through the artisans and the villages and the special things.
What was your first trip?
Gosh, the first trip I did was, it was a France trip. And so the first trip I did, I took my team and practiced on my team.
I
took them over
Good for you.
Did a special trip for them and created an itinerary and took them, starting in Paris and doing some of the towns around Paris. And so that was my first one I practiced on. And then and then I did another one to England. And I started with corners of the world that I knew well and just kept expanding from there. And so
how large are the groups?
Usually the groups are 14 guests. Mm-hmm. It's small enough that it's real intimate, but enough that we have a little buying power that we can get exclusive events and do things, just for our group.
Great idea.
Yeah. So from what I gather, some of them are classes like cooking experiences. Some are just dining. Some are seeing different parts of the cultural culinary landscape.
So I just came back from two of them a week ago. And so we had our Tuscany.
You're hard to book that. I'll test it out. Yeah.
So we came back from Tuscany, did our Tuscany experience, and I got a note from our guests afterwards. I get these beautiful notes. And one was, I can't believe we truffle hunted by day and we're at the opera and had this beautiful dinner in this little wine cave in the evening. So I think that's the kind of things I'm trying to do is give these activities that just are, so authentic to where we are, but leave people with knowing a person. That's what I try to do is make the relationships with the people that I can then introduce our guests to. So Massimo, my truffle hunter, is one of my favorite people in Italy. And he has a truffle house that he lets us come back to. And his sister and his cousin prepared the truffle meal. And when I say they're generous with the truffles, it's absurd how much truffles they give us. And it's beautiful. And I want to bring them to Columbus, the two chefs in that kitchen. I said, we have to do that because they're just exquisite. So it's those types of experience. That was in Tuscany. Yes. In San Miniato, one of the truffle regions around the world.
Okay.
And they get to know the truffle dog, and it's a great experience.
We've got to talk. We're taking a whole big group in September and October next year to Tuscany.
You need to visit my friend Massimo.
Okay, great.
Man.
Thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Getting jelly over here. So, coming up in 2026, you're expanding your repertoire of culinary travel to Morocco, London, and the Cotswolds. Although you've done that before.
Yes, what we've done is we're adding in the Chelsea Flower Show.
Oh,
and that's just like an iconic event, and then building around the gardening side of that and the speakers that we can get in front of during that week, and then going out into the countryside. So that's kind of city, gardening, beautiful show, and then the countryside. And I have a cooking school over there that I love when we visit Dalesford Cooking School. So we go over there and learn from those wonderful English chefs, and they take us out in the garden and teach us a whole bunch of things.
English get a bad rap.
Yeah, it's probably the most.
They do. They've greatly improved from what we all thought of, 20 years ago.
I call it the most improved cuisine in the world.
Yeah,
I would totally agree, Steve.
Where else can you go to a Michelin-starred pub?
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the place here where we were staying in Scotland this last September was Pete's Inn, and it had a 1-star Michelin.
Wow.
A little off-the-road place that you would never guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, how do you find these little nuggets out there? How does that work now? Because you're so busy. I mean, where do you have the time to figure that out? How does
it's been lucky. I think it's been like lucky happenstance. Like, I'm working with a French woman who actually had spent 20 years in New York and knew one of my chefs, knew Andre Soltner, because they were both Alsatian. And somebody said, you two should meet. And she's like me in Alsace. So she has a cook's atelier, and she's very knowledgeable and spent her life representing Alsatian cooking through, she was doing it through the French embassy in New York. And now she's back with her, taken over her parents' villa to do this cooking. So we got introduced, and one thing leads to another. And she's introducing me to, the people she knows, and then I'm making friends. And so I think that has been my lucky part of this, is the friends I've made in the different countries and the doors that have been open through the relationships.
And it builds on each other too.
Exactly.
Sure.
And they get excited.
I wonder when they like this.
When I bring over an audience that's so excited to learn, and we try to leave everything, represent America well, and leave everything as best we can. And it's just led to like really great relationships.
Is your clientele for the culinary travel, sort of like the longboats kind of thing? That kind. I'm trying to figure out who they are. Who's your market?
My guest?
Clientele.
Yeah.
You know what? Their guests. Most of them have found us some way through the farmhouse. Either people who take every class, or friends of friends, and it's been such an interesting. I remember people saying, who comes to the farmhouse? Who's your market? I was like, everyone who likes to eat and cook,
right?
You could be, I have two of my favorite travelers are in their 80s, and they have both been widowed and found each other, and they're doing all kinds of travel. And they're literally, we can't imagine a trip without Pat and Dawn, because they bring so much to it. And then I have mothers and daughters. I have friends, groups of friends, but I have a lot of husbands and wives. Solo travelers is a big one. I love my solo travelers, that they feel that they can have the confidence to come on a great, journey and adventure.
It's a great way to have best of both worlds. Though you have a group to be with, but you don't have to be.
And you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, what people love the most, it's not just all the food and amazing, culinary experiences. I think it's that somebody's planning for them, and they don't have to think about a thing.
That's exactly
right. And they
right.
just get to show up and be pampered. And I do all these little surprises. So I think we get too few surprises in life. And so I pepper in all these surprises through the week, and I think they really enjoy that.
Well, so I did something. I read something, and I think it was on your website about Tricia's surprises.
Yes.
So is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So give us an example. What do you mean by that?
I mean, like we rented a chateau for the guests. That's another experience. In France, we've been renting these properties that we wouldn't normally get a chance to stay in. So this one looked like Sleeping Beauty's castle. And and I become the innkeeper or the castle keeper. And so it's a whole nother layer of what I'm doing over there. And then we bring in French chefs every night to cook for us. But like one thing was like, I surprised them. It was Halloween night and I surprised them and brought this trio of wonderful jazz musicians to our chateau to give a private concert like that evening. Wow. And so they didn't know what it was, but they knew something was planned. And these musicians were unbelievable. It was like we were in a Paris jazz club, wow. But it was our dining room for the evening. So just little things.
Yeah, it really does work. We've done that. We did that in Greece last year. And we were on an island of Syros, and that's where bouzouki music was formed. And so we got some students, 20, 22-year-old students who came to the villa, which was extraordinary, and played, and it was just magical. It was
I love
fun.
Combining a musical element to the trips.
May I ask about the private chef concept?
Private chef division.
Yes.
Yes. This is something I have thought about because, again, people writing me notes. Could you come and cook for our, special celebration? We want to have 12 friends over. We just want to enjoy. And, you guys know because you're all very accomplished cooks. You know what this is like and how much work goes into this. And sometimes you just want to enjoy your guests in your home without.
Sometimes I just want to eat the food. I can't eat very much after I've prepared a big meal.
Yes, because you're on and you're. So for years I've been receiving the request. Anyway, one of your chefs would come to our home, and I've always noted it and thought there's a need. And I just thought when the pieces fall into place, when I meet the right people for this, it'll happen. And they just so happen that's now I have two wonderful women that will be the ones that will go in and can do either a little mini class, because sometimes people want to have, guests in town and they want to have their own little cooking class in their kitchen. So it could be either a class or it could be a dinner party.
Cool.
And
Great
so we're going to
concept.
keep it pretty, Thank you. We're going to keep it kind of small and limited to begin with. And we're going to have, outlined menus. And if they want to customize something, we can go deeper into it. But we're going to put our spin on what we think will work really well in this scenario. And then just start offering it in the new year and then see where it goes from there.
Is it going to be just for people who have fabulous kitchens, or
No,
can adjust?
We can adjust. Yeah. And stuff. And our chef will do like a video call with the home, with the person who's having the event, so they know what they're walking into. And I have to say, most of the people that come to the farmhouse, are in their kitchens and have very workable kitchens. There are probably some that say they don't use their ovens and they like to come and eat, but and stuff. So there's probably going to be some of those, but we have
a couple friends
confident.
Like that.
Yeah, right. A couple of friends who use it for storage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Got a new oven 2 years ago, and the cardboard's still inside.
That's just wrong.
Yes, I've heard a couple of those. Yeah,
you probably know the same people.
And you have growing class offerings. Is that a function of travel that you're just?
Yes. It's kind of this thing where I'm just trying to think that how do we bring some talent, that we can to town, just if there's somebody we can learn from, if there's something else we can offer, always looking out for those type of opportunities. And I like to keep things, exciting for our audience. We have kind of a community now of like 5,000 cooks. And I just look for ways that they can keep learning and that they can keep growing and keep things new and exciting. And so we've got, we're always looking to bring on, people with their talents and skills and share that with the audience as we can.
Soon after, I don't know if I told you guys about this or not, that soon after Russia invaded Ukraine. Tricia, tell us about that, what you did. Because we did a fundraiser. We
that
made
was
pierogies.
Pretty neat. That was the first one I'd ever done like that, and we had a personal connection.
It was during the
Kensington. It was right at the beginning of the Ukraine and Russia conflict, and Kensington. My daughter is a ballroom dancer, and her both coaches are from the Ukraine. And so, one of them was operating a small restaurant on the border between Ukraine and Poland, helping women and children get into Poland and housing them and pulling all these things together. And it was just like we were getting the personal stories of what was needed, what was happening, and the hardships. And I thought to myself, well, we could probably raise some funds for this kind of, help. And so it just kind of, in 1 week, we raised $25,000.
Wow.
Really off of pierogies.
They were really good too.
So we were doing all kinds of things with pierogies. We were teaching them, making them, doing Zooms. Everybody was chipping in, and we funneled $25,000 that week to them to help those women and children. So
it really was. You have an event that's going to be over with by the time, people hear this and watch it. But I did want to talk about it because Marcella Hazan celebration is pretty central to our appreciation of Italian food in the United States.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you're going to be doing.
So I had seen the documentary, the Marcella Hazan documentary. It debuted down in Sarasota, Florida, which we have ties to. And her son lives in that community. Oh. And so I reached out to him afterwards and said, listen, we're both in the culinary world, and I would love to bring you to Columbus, my hometown, and bring your mom's documentary and see if I could have you come and teach at my cooking school, and we could welcome you to Columbus. And so he was so gracious and was like, of course, would love to do it. The hard part was finding a date because he spends a lot of his time. He's a wonderful chef and teacher in his own right. And he spends a lot of his time in Italy and stuff and teaching. And so it was trying to coordinate some dates. And so it is going to happen, will have happened in December. Mm-hmm. And we just thought, let's make it a holiday celebration to a tribute to his mother's culinary legacy. And we're doing a film screening at the Wexner Center, who came on as a partner, and doing gourmet movie snacks and doing a talk back with him, and then a cooking class the next day with him. And so that's our special guest that we'll have had here.
That's great. You took all these opportunities that were so, close by, and just put it all together and dragged him to Columbus, I guess. But
I know.
I'm sure he'll enjoy himself.
Yeah. Hopefully, it'll be a great visit. We can have him back at some point.
And, since his mom had been here before.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yes. I was going to say, talk about, you've worked with her.
Yeah. We did when she was, Betty Rossbottom had her in town.
At La Belle Pomme Cooking School at Lazarus.
Was it at Lazarus? Or was
she used to have wonderful guests, didn't it? Betty would have wonderful guests come in.
Jacques Pepin was here.
Buggiali, John Clancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. I remember hearing the story, Betty telling me the story, how she was having Jacques come and somebody had a heart issue or had to call 911 and had a seat in that class that night and yelled out, call so-and-so to take my seat in the Jacques Pepin class as she was getting into the ambulance. So that's a hot seat when you're...
Yeah.
Well, we used to scrub for her.
We scrubbed for her, yeah. And then I was fortunate to meet her. Roberta and I met her and her husband at the Aspen Food Festival back in the 90s, I think, and got all my cookbooks autographed, some of which are very well worn.
Yes, she was she was, what I have always admired about her is she was such a teacher at heart. Yeah. And you could tell in her cookbooks, she really sets you up for, trying to explain every little instruction and you can almost hear her voice telling you what to do. And I've always really appreciated the fact that she had a cooking school, and then the way she wrote her books.
That just makes me think that we ought to do a show about cookbooks. Because
Yeah.
I use them all the time as guideposts, as for very specific things. I mean, they're messy, and not just cookbooks, but recipes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Sam Sifton now has taken over another job at the Times, but the New York Times.
He started the food.
Yeah, and the recipes that you can go online.
It would be fun if we could pull all of our favorite recipes together of the Columbus cooking community and somehow put those together, because I bet we all have our, like you're mentioning, the sausage and cream sauce. What did you say, Steve, at the beginning about Marcella's?
That was one of hers that we've used it with groups traveling, not to mention her tomato sauce and her other.
I want to try that tomato, onion, and butter thing.
Yeah.
It's
a very simple sauce. It's just a very simple sauce.
Yeah. It's a very simple, beautiful little sauce.
Yeah. And that's another great thing about her recipes, is that they aren't that complex. She does tell you what you do.
Well, Victor made them clear. Her husband.
Yeah.
Yes, he was the translator. He was the translator. She wrote them all out, and he translated them from Italian to English. Yes.
And knew which wine to serve with it.
He was a wine.
Knew which wine. Yes, you're so right.
Yeah.
Was he a sommelier, or was he just an
wine
expert?
guy.
Just a wine guy. Kind of like Steve.
Dude. Okay. I think, there's so much more to talk about, as we knew there would be. We're so glad we were finally able to get you to squeeze us in.
No, this was so fun to talk to all of you. I really appreciate it. And I love learning about what's happening in our city through your podcast and everything. So thank you.
When you're in Columbus, where do you like to go?
When I'm in Columbus, Anne, I feel like I am just like at the farmhouse and cooking away.
Okay.
And I get home and I just want to kind of cook in my kitchen and have some friends over.
So you still have a place in Columbus?
I think there's, we'll never get rid of we'll never leave our house. No, Columbus is home for sure.
Okay,
yes.
We got to keep you here.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I did hear one little tip the other day. I haven't checked it out myself, but you guys might already know about this. But that a great French bakery is opened called Frenchie's.
Don't know about it.
I don't know about that either.
Okay.
And that they brought the pastry chef from France.
Oh wow!
And it's in Clintonville, between campus and Clintonville, and a little strip, and it's called Frenchie's. And they said it has the most amazing French pastries.
Okay, I'm going to go there. Right,
you stumped the band. You stumped the band.
So I've been thinking about that. I'm definitely checking it out too.
I can work that into my schedule.
It's on the way home. Sort of.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for now. So thanks to chef, entrepreneur, teacher, and author Tricia Wheeler. You can learn more about her work at triciawheeler.com. And we so much appreciate it. And thanks to my co-hosts, Rich Terapak and Steve Stover. Check out their cooking classes coming up this spring at Franklin Park Conservatory.
March.
In March. And remember, a great meal is best shared. So share this with people who love to cook, who love to eat. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Ann Fisher. Take care.
Boxland Media. Think big.